Hi guys, good morning. Welcome back to the blog again. Well, the blogs will go on sequence. So the first recording in which we saw about how to install Ubuntu inside VirtualBox, where we saw each and every step in detail without any delay, without any kind of interruption of understanding how you can, where to download, how to configure, and how to set up everything, including the VirtualBox, and how to link your ISO image to the VirtualBox, and then to the actual installation process. Each and every process was explained and all, and there are some process which have been missed. I will put the voice into the recording, so you will be able to get that. In this recording, we are going to just see about we will on the snap because we did not use the desktop, we used the server, so the server never comes with a GUI. So now we are going to install a GUI application, and for that we are going to see a couple of steps that we need to understand, and after that we will install. So the most common thing to install in a server is an Ubuntu desktop. So we will try to install a Ubuntu desktop and see how it works, or we can do an XFCE edition also, which is a lighter one and comes with very limited one. Whichever way you do, you can follow the one. There is a guide. I will link it up. You can check that guide and you can follow that procedure. But right now, let's begin that process. And before that, let me open that guide for you all so you can also install that. So there is basically a simple procedures which are there. These are like the process of how to install. You can install any desktop GUI that you prefer. Like you can install Ubuntu desktop, you can install XFCE edition or any other display manager that you would love, which is lighter one like Ubuntu Met. You can use Ubuntu Met Core, you can use Lubuntu, you can use, which are all based on that. Xubuntu you can use, which is an XFCE edition or anything. And how to remove that, I will tell you in the later part. That's a separate story. So let's begin this. So let's begin this and let's start the whole procedure. So the first and foremost thing is to spin up the virtual machine. All right, gentlemen. So sorry for that interruption. Let's log into our server. Okay, so we are logged into our server. We can see the detail. But one question is how yesterday I tried to log in using SSH from Windows terminal and it worked. Do we need to log in from the VirtualBox itself or do we have any other alternative to log in? So let's try that other alternative also. For example, if you go to Putty and if we log into the same server, which is 192.168.0.106, and yes, we are able to log into our server, and there we go. We get the same information. There is no difference. The same screen. We are able to see it's the same instruction. Everything is same. Now let's try from our command prompt, or say we will not use command prompt, but we will use PowerShell. So let's search PowerShell. Okay, we'll search Windows PowerShell and let's log in SSH dot at the rate 192.168.0.106. So yes, we have been given our password and there you go. You can still log in if your server is on. So you can see now we have three. We have the actual VirtualBox screen. We have Putty screen, which is a remote login terminal window where you can log into the terminal and you can also log in because if you remember, we had installed OpenSSH server, so we can SSH into our server and we can perform all that. So right now it is being showing zero updates because all our system is up to date. We don't need any updates. So the whole information we are getting is same. So now let's see how we can do. So the first and foremost thing that we have to do is we have to install an application called task cell. Task cell is basically one option that you can do. Either you can install task cell, or and then you can install the desktop header desktops, or you can use the app package manager, and you can do. So in this, I am not. I'm just opting out to apt command. So let's see sudo apt, and let's see if we can do sudo apt install ubuntu hyphen desktop. So it is asking us the password and I have given the password. It should begin the installation. Yes, it is reading out the package list and it is going to take the readings. It will take a bit long time, and yes, it is just pulling out. So if you see all these informations, what are these informations? These are basically the package managers and other thing. And after this operation, 2252 MB of additional disk space will be used. So if you are okay, you can do that because zero upgrades. 1134 newly installed, zero to remove and zero to upgrade. Need to get 646 MB of archives. So you are giving yes and it is working. And yes, if you see in.archive.ubuntu.com, because if you remember, we had given our mirror a location to archive so that we will get all that. So what this is going to install? This is going to install the original Ubuntu GUI along with all the packages that is required. So basically your office package, your browsers, other extensions. But there is one catch in this. When you install the desktop operating system version, there's two options that is there. One is basically you can pick the full installation, whereas minimal installation is basically a web browser and few applications will be installed. All these word applications and other things will not be installed. So the system is light. But when you install a GUI, you have also option that you don't need to install a GUI, because you the servers never have a GUI. Server is always like, it's not that servers don't have a GUI, server have a GUI. You can use Ubuntu desktop as a OS for server and other things. But the typical server is having a command user interface, command line screen, so where you are typing the commands and just you are interacting with the screen. We install the GUI because the GUI will be a beneficial thing for us to, in order to do that day-to-day activity like click event, rather, because not all of us are tech savvy and knows all the commands. So that is why we install a GUI. Now this can also be removed when you don't want. This can also be installed, but with the installation of this, what happens is you have to constantly update your server, and it will take a long time, because you're installing all those applications which are not, because a server has got a specific purpose. It can be a storage server, it can be a file server, it can be a media server. So your day-to-day word application are the things you don't need in that. Yes, if you need a general server which can do all the work, so where you don't want to install in your laptop any application other than just having the just having the base operating system, and just want to connect to the server and do that, you can do that. So if you want to say you have a tablet and you have a keyboard and you want to just connect to the server and do some basic work, you can do that, because all the load is taken by the server. All you are doing is you're just utilizing that application and just doing the basic activity. So that's the catch of it. So right now, what it is doing, it is unpacking and selecting the packages and installing them. So it will take a little bit of time, because Ubuntu desktop is by default a very heavy application. So once done, you will boom, you will just have to go through some basic procedure of like installing a light DM. So that light DM is basically, we can have the option to change, or we can install switch a desk also, so we can switch the desktop environments in between while logging. But in this case, we'll just do that same thing, and we'll move on. So right now, what happening is getting certain applications installed and then getting set up and other things. So hopefully it should end soon. So we are just waiting for the last finishing touch, which is just uh, finishing the whole installation is already done. The desktop environment is installed. It's just initiating and waiting for the process to complete down, and then probably will begin up with the further steps, which will not take much time. In less than 2 steps more, we will have our we'll install this. We'll start the service, and boom, we will have our own desktop environment up and running. So because the server is in low space and we are putting the desktop environment, so it is taking time to complete the process, but otherwise it will be done. Sometimes it also happens that you need to give more space to the server than anything else, because that creates that whole issue of going through all that procedure and system, which is difficult in times, but it should end at any point. All right. So first step achieved, whereby we have installed the Ubuntu desktop. Now we are going to install the Light DM, which is basically a package manager or display manager, which is going to help us in displaying our things. So let's do that. So sudo apt install Light DM. So yes, Light DM will be getting installed in less than some time. It's a very small application, Light DM. Boom, it will go. So now you can see GDM3 and Light DM. We'll select Light DM and then we will go for OK. It will install Light DM in no time. It is just a package manager which is just unpacking everything and installing. So that's not a very big application. It is a very small application, lighter one, just to interact with multiple. Like in our case, we have only one Ubuntu desktop. If you install some other display manager option, then you will have more options to select. Like you can have Xubuntu image and all, so you can switch between Ubuntu desktop and Xubuntu and all that. So yes, the installation is done. Now it's time to start the service. Sudo service light DM start, and boom, we will have our services started. Yes, the service is already started. So now we can check with this following command: cat slash etc slash. Okay, now you can see in our virtual machine which is running on inside the virtual box, the Ubuntu which is running inside the virtual box, you can see Ubuntu 21.44. the moment, okay, so this is what I wanted to show, but this is no more required, so I'm closing the session. So if you see, as soon as we run that sudo service like dm start, it started our virtual machine, our desktop. So you can see a ubuntu screen here, which is 2104, and we were checking about the command. So cat etc slash x11 slash default hyphen display, default hyphen display hyphen manager. So if you see, it says slash user slash has been light dm. So this is where light dm is there. So now let's go back and let's start login to our server, and that's it. You are having your own server, and you are having your own screen, you are having your own interactive server. This is the same desktop server which is interactive, and this is the same GUI you have, and you can interact with everything. Applications will be loading up in some time, and here you have the screen. Yes, the resolution is looking small. You can use your software manager library to install all Visual Studio Code, Zoom Client, Krita, Plex Media Server, VLC, even OBS Studio. Everything you can use. Discord, you can use Git Client, Android Studio, Microsoft Teams. All applications are accessible. You can now extend, you can install the guest operating system, and you can do that, but guest operating system will do it in the next series. Until then, we are going to stop it here. One last thing I will tell you is like how you can stop the things, but before to that, you just have to type the same command again once more, whereby you can just select instead of start, you will just have to type stop, and it will stop you the screen, and your desktop will go. So you can see now you don't have the desktop because you stopped the light DM service. So you are back to the black screen. So you are back to the black screen. Now going back again. Oh, where is my cursor? Okay. Going back again, just select the same option and execute once more, and boom, you will be back again with the desktop screen. So the very much important thing is, one thing is just start and one thing is stop. Just click on that, and yes, you will come up. Here the server takes little time because we have given only 2 GB RAM. I will tell you how you can modify, but modifying the RAM in the servers in VirtualBox sometimes create problems. So you'll have to be very much careful. And boom, here is your desktop screen. Here you can see all the applications. You have video, calendar, text editor, document, settings, systems, monitoring, terminal, and character screen and fonts and all that, all application that you get in your vim editor and other things, shortwell, everything is available what you had looked for. But that's the only beauty of thing is like you can log in through your, if ssh is enabled, you can log in through ssh, you can log in directly through the browser and other things. All it depends is you need to look into how you can log in and how you can manage it. For now, let's exit from here. We have logged out from the server. Now let's exit our Windows terminal and let's shut down the server. So that's all for now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming up and enjoying a 41-minute session. There are some portions where there was utter silence. I will chop that part so I don't want to long the video. But if at all you want to follow the procedure, I will put that video and you can enjoy that part. Thank you very much. And in the next part, I will tell you how you can remove your, how you can set up the remote connection. Now, this is basically from host computer you are able to connect. If you try to connect from some other computer, it won't work because the RDP is not enabled. So I'll tell you in the next part, we will talk about RDP setup, how you can do the RDP setup in a Ubuntu. And then we will talk about how you can connect, how you can control everything, and then we have RDP and shared folder connection, how you can connect the shared folder, and what one line you have to just write in the terminal window, and that is going to get you the access to that folder. So we'll link that. We'll write the command from the Windows system, from the Windows command cell, and then we will go and access the files of that folder. And then you can drop a file from there, like you can download image and drop there, and you can find accessible to the Windows system. So those two things we will do, and also we'll try to see how we can remove this light DM and desktop and other thing. And that will be the end of this series. Thank you very much. Let's meet up again.